Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode here on Farmers Market. Alright, and FS25, I should say. There is the veg harvester from the last episode. We will be carrying on because we've got a field of red beets to do, but the rain, as you remember, that stopped us combining in the last episode has now obviously disappeared. So we can get on with some more combining. We've only got 2 fields left to do, which is the field where we're now going, and then another one that's next to the red beet field. So we've not got much of harvest left. Yeah. But anyway, hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all having a good day, good Monday. It soon rolls around again, does it not? I kind of sort of record these episodes and I think, oh, it'll be ages before I see this episode again. Recording this episode, and then like literally it feels like a few hours later. Yeah, that's what it feels like, at least. I'm recording it again. But anyway, it's all good stuff. So I said in the last episode that this series might be ending. And that was what I kind of thought, yeah, that, that I think that's time. I think, but I've had 1 or 2 messages, emails again, from people that have said, no, you must not end this series. We're really enjoying it. You're crazy. So yeah, in my own mind, I kind of I was like, yeah, I'm going to bring it to an end. I'm going to do a few more sunny side up. I'm going to do, obviously keep my 1950 schedule, and then was going to go from there. I was sort of, what the hell is he doing? Do you mind not driving in my crop? That was the most unnecessary turnaround ever. I don't mind saying so. But yeah, so as I say, I'd sort of said, as I just said, that I was going to bring this to a close this week. In fact, I was going to get this field and the other field harvested, get the other field harvested, and then we'd get everything sold off, and then we would go from there. But no, as I say, people have sort of said, no, keep this going for a little while. So, and that's what we do. So we are going to put an end game in, because the problem that I've got at the minute is, and I know a couple of weeks ago I was a bit sort of bit down about it all and that, and I have been sort of over the last couple of weeks anyway, is the number of views that my video get. Now, I've been talking to another YouTuber that started at pretty much the same time as I did. I think they started just a couple of months before me, but they have now left YouTube. They've given it up, and I've sort of said, how come you're giving it up? And I said, is it time? Is it? And he said, no. He said it's the number of views, the amount of time and effort that it takes to make these videos. He said, what I'm talking about. He said, he said, no, I don't do a video every day. He said, I do 2 videos a week. And he said, whereas you do one every day. He said, so he said, your, sort of schedule in terms of YouTube is way more, sort of busier than mine and what have you. And he said, I can understand why you get deflated. And I said, well, I said, it's not so much about the time. I said, because I choose to do that. I said, but it's just that kind of, when I was first doing it, when I first started a year ago, well, I actually started before that. So I started in the middle of the year before last January. So 23 was when I actually started, and then the school summer holidays kind of happened, and not many people was watching, and I didn't really give up, but I had other stuff that I had to sort of do, and I apologise for my chair creaking there. My alarm just went off. Yeah, so I sort of gave it last January. Then I came sort of back around about February time. I introduced 1950s, and I also introduced the Britain series. Now, the 1950s series that took off from kind of minute one. It yeah, it exploded. I was getting, 3, 4, 500 views, within the first couple of days, and it looked as if, it was going to do very well. Now it doesn't. Now it gets to about sort of 50, 60. So it's still by far and away my highest viewed videos. And as I say, I really enjoy that series. I really enjoy all the series I do. As I said before, with ADHD, if I didn't enjoy something, I wouldn't sit and do it. I can't sit and do it. I just, I just couldn't do it. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. So, as I say, I sort of really enjoy all of the series that I do. But, yeah. And as I say, well, I was sort of talking to him and what have you, and I said to him, but I said, you get way more views than what I get, and he said, yeah, I know. He said, but it's still not enough. I mean, his videos, he's probably getting about. I mean, he only does. Well, he does. I've had a good look through his channel today, and watched a video, like a couple of videos this morning. Again, I was up at like sort of 3 this morning. So I've had time on my hands, and yeah, I sort of watched a couple of his videos today. I'd looked through his channel, and I mean, he was regularly getting sort of, sort of 6, 7, 800 views on his videos that he was doing. So, to say his numbers were down was a little bit of an insult to me, because I'm struggling to reach 100 at the moment. Yeah, I've got a couple that are like 6 months old videos, and they've not got to 30 yet. So yeah, it's quite sad that, as I say, he's left, and and that he's given up. But I don't know. Like I say, the views do bother, and it's not like it's not because of the time and effort that it takes to do, because I choose to do that. It's just, I don't know. I think it's a bit like if you cooked a Sunday roast, and hardly anyone out of 7 billion people that's on the planet, and hardly anyone ever ate any of it or ate any of it, you'd feel a little bit kind of, well, what's wrong with me? Especially when you start, and the dangerous thing is you start comparing yourself to other people, and then you say, well, their videos are getting, this, that, and everything else, and you sort of think, how come mine aren't, and anyway. So I do think it's important with this series that we do have a bit of an end goal, because we don't want this to sort of, it can't carry on and on and on and on, especially as I may now. So there's a few maps starting to drop now for FS25. Someone kind of got a bit excited when I mentioned that Carmelan's Farm was out for FS25. So I might, because there isn't the mods that there was when Carmelan's came out for FS22, I might do the 200 horsepower challenge again. Now I'm going to have to be a little bit careful with that, because the combines, as far as I can tell, I can't find a 200 horsepower or less combine. So we're gonna, that it might be that we have to tweak the rule slightly and say that you're allowed one luxury mod, or you're allowed a combine which doesn't come into it, but everything else has to be 200 horsepower. and then you're allowed one comfort mod, we'll call it. So any mod that you choose, or any vehicle from in-game or whatever, can be any horsepower that you want it to be, but you're allowed sort of one comfort vehicle, and then one necessary vehicle, so a combine. So if you decided that you wanted to go for I don't know, a pea harvester or something of that sort, then you can. But yeah, so that's a possibility. I'm probably going to look into doing something with that again. There's another map that I've just recently downloaded. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I can't. I'm just like, yeah, I don't think I'll pronounce that on video, just in case I'm swearing in some sort of language. So I'm not doing that. But yeah, there's that map. And again, it's a possibility. The thing I like about that map is everything is really expensive, and I mean really expensive. Like fields, like sort of the smallest field on there's about £3 million. So everything is really expensive. So that might be an idea, and as well. Now, this could be actually, because it's just come into my head. This could be a thing. So that map has an area where there's a couple of greenhouses on them, and as I say, everything on there is expensive. So when you start new farmer mode, you don't start with the farm on the game. So just to test the map out and make sure everything was okay, I gave myself £1 million. Started the game, you don't get no tractors, no nothing. You literally start, well, you start in the middle of nowhere. You're just standing in the middle of nowhere, and you sort of look back and there's the whole map, and it's a big map as well. So there's two versions of the map. There's a ×4 and a ×16. Now the ×16, very tempting though it is, I'm not sure whether how that would work for video purposes, in terms of I'm not that great at editing, as you all know, and whether it would become a little bit repetitive and continuous, I don't know. But as I say, I started off with £1 million, which obviously if I was going to start a save on Farm Sim, I wouldn't start off with £1 million. I'd start off with 100,000. Or if I started off with £1 million, I'd also start off with £1 million loan, and say that we borrowed £1 million from the bank or whatever, and we'd have to pay that back if I was to start with £1 million. But like I say, you start in the middle of nowhere. There is one farm on the map, and to buy that farm is £12 million. Everything on that map is so expensive, and there's a lot more productions, there's a lot more things to do, so it looks very sort of favourable that at some point I will be doing a save on there as well, and I might do a rags to riches on that one, just because everything is so expensive. I said I wasn't going to buy any DLCs until Farm Sim sorted this game out. If enough people request it, I might buy the Nexat DLC. Like I say, I want Giants to sort the game out first, because it's a bit it's a lot better than it was, but it's still not perfect. But yeah, so the end game to this series will be own every field, and we'll be as big as we can. So it does mean we're going to have to make quite a few changes in the next few episodes. So we're going to have to get rid of some of the smaller equipment if we're going to go big. We've got a few quid in our skyrocket, and we'll be able to start that process. So we've got, as I say, we've got a few quid. We've got we've got a half decent combine. We've got some nice tractors. We've now got a Challenger as well, which I bought at the end of, not last episode, but the episode before that. I bought that because it was 80 grand. Honestly, if in real life, because the thing is, a lot of people have said, you know, this is what you would have been doing in real life if it wasn't for your illness, right? I've had quite a few people say that to me, and they've sort of said, wouldn't it have been great if in real life everything had worked out and you would have been able to have gone into farming and what have you? Because they said, be honest with yourself, that's what you would have done, and it is what I would have done. You know, if I was earning the money where I could start farming, you know, that is what I would have done. Now, I would have done it slightly different in terms of I would try and buy a farm. So what I would have tried to have done was to find someone that I could tenant farm for. Um, there's a lot to be said about tenant farming, and with the inheritance tax sort of debacle at the minute, or debacle, or however you pronounce that word, I think there's going to be a lot more in tenant farming. I think it's going to because, and the reason being is that families then can get rid of all the machinery, so they're not asset rich. And whoever tenants farms for them's got to have their own machinery, and what have you. And all they've got then is the value of the farm and the land. And of course, if it's tenant farm, I don't know how that would come under the inheritance tax. Whether they would still have to pay, or whether, I don't know. But there's a farmer that I know, and we'll be visiting that farm this year. It is all arranged, June 25th. We're going to have an absolute cracking day out. I'm hoping. I've had a brief word, and it looks hopeful that they're going to let me film the day out there. And yeah, we're going to have a really good day. They've got a few people coming in to give a talk. We're going to look around some machinery, and it's going to be an all-day thing. So it starts at 8:30 in the morning, and ends at well, they say officially it ends at 5, but depends when people decide to go home, apparently. But yeah, we'll have a good look. Now, it might be that I have to go at 5, because a part of the day out is a bit of a walk. Now, obviously I've got, my heart condition, what have you, so I can walk, but it does tire me out, and like it tires me out big time. And I have spoken to them about it, and said, look, I want to join in. However, if it's a huge walk, then I'm not sure how I'm going to get on with that. And they've sort of said, we understand that there may well be other people, besides yourself, that may struggle with that walk. So there will be a tractor and trailer for that walk, but you can get on and off it as much as you like, which will be which will be great. I will try and do the walk, just because obviously we're going to be able to get to places where tractor and trailer isn't. And yes, that tractor and trailer may well stop, but not only that as well, like I say, I will try and sort of join in with everything, but I have to be mindful, because if it's a bad day that I'm having, then I'm not going to be able to walk very far at all. But hopefully it'll be a good day, and then I'm sort of should be in a bit better place. But yeah, so we're sort of going there, and his business is solely built around tenant farming. So they have a few hundred acres themselves, but the rest of the farm that the rest of their business is all tenant farmed, and that's from Lincolnshire through Cambridgeshire through into Bedfordshire. And he, I've I've sort of spoken to him and what have you, and he sort of said, and hopefully in the future it'll be well beyond that as well. He said there's many different areas that we can go to, and they're a really big farm, really big concern. So they've got 4 Lexion 8700 combines. They've got currently 2 self-propelled horse sprayers. They've just bought 2 more, which are on 48 meters. They've also got 2 horse trailed sprayers. So they're a very big firm, and as I say, they've got 11s. They've got several vent crawlers. So their machinery is either class or vent. They did have a Challenger, but they traded that in, and have bought a vent 11, another vent 1167, I think it is. And yeah, so they're quite big, but so I'm looking forward to that going there. But yeah, I think this farm, I think we need to grow it as big as we can get it. We need to buy, all of the land, farm all of the land. Once we've farmed all of the land successfully, then I tell you what, I'm having trouble speaking this morning. I don't know what on earth's up with me. Yeah, once we've just sort of done that, because I think the greenhouse side of things, I think that's got as big as it can get really on the land that we've got. Yeah, we can buy more land and expand that, but I don't think we need to. I think per day, I think we earn more than enough out of the greenhouse sort of side of things, and that's the thing with that big map. We could sort of end this one here, go to there, and then do sort of start again with the greenhouses, and then sort of build up again and do that. So it's sort of kind of open to suggestion really, and let me know, let me know in the comments, or as people have been doing just recently, email me or whatever, and sort of kind of let me know. I came the wrong way, didn't I? Should have come up there. Let me know, your thoughts. Would you like to see this map continued all the way through, or would you like to see me go to a really expensive map where everything is a heck of a lot of money? We can do far more productions. We can do a lot more stuff on the other map than what we really can do on this map. The fields are much bigger. The machinery will need to be a lot bigger. And it will take us a while to earn the money to get the machinery. Because, as I say, in the beginning, we'll set up a farm shop again. We could do that. I think that sounds more appealing, personally. But, as I say, the people that have messaged and said, no, keep this one going, may not think so. But I think the other one might be maybe more appealing. Are you gonna trigger, please? Yes, thank you. I won't get too close because I don't want to nudge it. I know you can't. You wouldn't do that this way, but you wouldn't open the big door to tip into there. I obviously realise that, but this trailer doesn't have a grain chute, which is odd. Well, it doesn't have the option to use the grain chute, because it does have a grain chute on it. Now, why can't I tip? Oh, we've run out of space for sorghum. Okay. Let's just find out how much we do have. Sorghum down here. We have 38,000 litres of sorghum. That's not a great deal. Okie doke. Alright, I've got an idea. It's not a fantastic solution, but it is a solution. And as a farmer, I'm paid to come up with solutions. Right. What I'm going to do is, because I've kind of rabbited on a little bit this morning, and kind of sort of spoke about many things and not really spoke about anything at all, if you know what I mean. I've sort of jumped from here, there and everywhere. So I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse. We'll get this done. We've got the red beets to do, and then we will then jump back and we'll see how and where we can start to develop. Because there was a lot more that I wanted to do with this save anyway. The reason why I was going to stop it was because, yes, the views are not very good on it, but actually the reason why I was going to stop it was because I accidentally left it on easy and made so much money so quickly that it kind of felt like I cheated the viewer a little bit, because this was meant to sort of be a sort of struggle from nothing to something. But yeah, as I say, so but we might carry on. Well, you know, as I say, unless people message and say, yeah, do the other map because everything's more expensive and start again, then we will be carrying on here. But if people do want me to start the other map, then you know, I will. You know, we will stop here and we will go there. And also as well, you know, people can sort of say in the comments whether or not they want me to take the money from this map onto that one. So it's like we sell up and we go somewhere bigger. So therefore, because we're selling up, we get the money to everything that we sell, and then we start again. As I say, on that map with, say, I think we would probably have about £5-6 million. But you know, we would need to buy greenhouses. We'd need to buy greenhouses. We'd need to, you know, there would be stuff that we would need to buy, so we would quickly start to use the money again. But yeah, as I say, let me know. But anyway, I'm going to go over to some time lapse, and I'm going to get this sorghum harvested. Then we've got the red beets, and then we'll see where we're going to go from there. So we'll start in this episode building up, but if people want me to change, then we will do. But as I say, I will see you all in a moment or two's time when we've got the harvest done and the red beets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tip the sorghum, not here. It's over there. It's okay. I completely lost where I was there for a second, but I know where I'm supposed to be. So we'll go this way. I'm going to tip it into the train station silo because it's got a silo, and we'll be able to get the grain back out. We don't have to sell it to the train, so we'll be able to get the grain back out, which will be rather advantageous for us. So it's a bit of a cheat, but I'm a cheeky chappy, so I'm sure we'll get away with it. There we go. Right, I'm going to switch over to some time lapse. I'll see you in a minute. Bye for now. so we've got that done. We've skipped forward now to the next day, as you saw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to nip down to the canning factory. Yeah, I'm not going to make that turn, James. Nip down to the canning factory and pick up the tins of goods from there, and then we will also we'll come back, we'll sell them, and then we will nip to the grain mill, see if there's any flour, and then we will pop down to the bakery, exchange the flour for, hopefully for some bread if it's managed to make some overnight. So that's what we'll do for now, and then when we get back, we've got a building to place. So I've had a quick look at the grapes. They don't seem to have still be ready yet, but that's not necessarily really a problem. But we'll get a building down ready for when they are, ready to harvest, and that'll be the winery. So we'll make wine from our grapes, and then as soon as the spring comes and we're able to replant, or we're able to lay down more vines, we will fill the rest of that grass with grapevines, and that's what we'll do from there. So yeah, stuff to do, which is good, always good. Press the wrong button. Right, we'll try if we can. That always beats me. We'll try if we can and get all of this on this load. Don't really want to come back if I can help it. So we'll get this done, and then we'll also go and have another look at we should be able to get these two on there. I'm fairly certain we can get these on here. We'll also have a little look at the place that I am considering buying. If we are going to sort of carry on, then we need somewhere bigger, and we also need to go somewhere where we can put a silo down, because clearly we're outliving that bin. It would be nice as well at some point to get a spinach harvester and beans and peas as well, because obviously we can can them as well. So we'll go all out for everything that we can do in terms of produce. So the other thing we'll look at as well now is we will also look to see what land's available. I don't really want to buy land with crops already in it, because you pay for the land, and then what tends to happen is that you then harvest the crop, and the crop ends up giving you the money back for the field. I don't really like that. In sort of real life, farms would only really sell you land once they got their harvest off, unless you paid them for the projected value of the crop that was in the ground. Then you might buy it that way. But yeah, it's I don't like doing it, as I say, while crops are in the ground, because you can profit quite nicely from it, because usually all the fields are fully fertilized and have had all of the correct steps done to them to make sure that they are as fully profitable as they can. Honestly, I can't speak this morning. Sort of stumbling my words, getting my words muddled up. I don't know. I'm going for a blood test in about half an hour, and it doesn't bother me. Like, obviously, you know, spending a lifetime in and around hospitals and everything like that with my heart condition, obviously it doesn't, you know, bother me in any way, shape, but I still don't like it. You know, I may have had, you know, hundreds of thousands of them, but I still don't like them. Oh, hang on, next we're going to go to the flour mill. Yeah, so the other things that we need to start looking into is getting the oil mill, and getting the oil mill, and then we'll have a look through. I kind of just want to do for now food production, so I don't really want to do like trees and then furniture and then stuff like that. For now, I just kind of want to try and stick it to food production and stuff like that. You know, just because you know, because this did originally start off with, you know, this was my real life dream. This was, you know, what I wanted to do. And I don't think I would have necessarily gone into furniture and things like that. I don't think, because obviously, you know, when sort of, yeah, when I had the dream, I obviously realised what my limitations were physically, and trees wouldn't have been something that I would have been sort of kind of into doing, because you know, I did trees on, we did sort of cutting down trees and different things on the first farm that I worked on. The second farm did do it too, because it's a quite a popular job, you know, in the UK in the winter. But the second farm didn't really ever let me sort of get involved with it, and you know, I don't mind, because I didn't want to be involved with it. I wasn't particularly fan of the work, because like I say, it was quite you know, heavy hard work, and you know, I just don't have the upper strength, you know, in my chest or anything like that, so I didn't necessarily mind that. The second farm sort of said, "Nah, it's all right. You don't have to get involved." And to be fair, actually, they didn't. They weren't as basic as the first farm in doing it. So you know, they decided that they were doing it, that you had the right equipment with which to do it. You know, you didn't. The first farm, you know, it was a chainsaw to cut the tree down. You know, I'm surprised they didn't use a handsaw. But it was a chainsaw to cut the tree down. But then sort of thereafter, it was all handwork. You know, it was all lifting and carrying and what have you. And don't get me wrong, the guy that I worked with understood, you know, sort of my limitations, and used to sort of make sure that he logged it fairly small, so that I could, you know, so that I could. I mean, I was still quite strong, but I just couldn't do it all day. And you know, so in the morning, you would tend to find that the logs would be sort of really nice, thick, you know, sort of good chunky, you know, bits of wood. Whereas in the afternoon, and that as well, the boss man would be around and about in the morning. Whereas in the afternoon, you didn't tend to see him that much. You know, if sort of horse racing was on, or you know, or whatever, then you know, or some cricket, or some, you know, in some foreign country, you know, some warmer climate, you know, cricket or tennis or something was going on. That's, you know, he would be indoors watching that. So in the afternoon, we could get away slightly with, you know, cutting because if the logs were cut too small, he used to grumble like mad. And then, you know, if like we sort of said, well, yeah, but you know, Jamie has trouble lifting them, his response was, well, you'll have to get down the gym then, won't you? And yeah, it was, you know, it, he was. I mean, he was a nice bloke, but you know, he was still farming in the 19 sort of, I don't know, 70s, 80s. You know, whereas if I'd have been in charge of that farm, you know, me and sort of John used to kind of say to each other, you know, they're rolling in it. You know, they're rolling in it. Their houses are like massive country manors. You know, they've got a 1,000-acre farm. You know, farming wasn't their main source of income. Well, it was probably on a par with their main source of income, but and you know, they ran the farm as cheaply as possible. You know, they didn't really. I remember one year. Actually, I've also got a bit of a funny story about his horse racing. To be fair, but I'll finish the other one. So the one year he came to me and said, "I got some good news for you." So I said, "Oh yeah, what's that?" He said, "We're buying a new combine this year." So I said, "Oh yeah." So he said, "Yeah." He said, "We're gonna have a brand new John Deere combine." So I said, "Oh, very nice." And I said, like, "Why is that good news to me?" So he said, "Well," he said, "you get excited when we, you know, get new equipment." He said, "Like, and we don't have new equipment, you know, all that often, not really." So he said, like, you know, he said, "That's good news for you because we're getting a new combine." So I said, "Ah," I said, "Well, excellent," you know, I said. And he said, "What do you say about time?" And I said, "No, no, no." I said, like, you know, you run the farm, however you run the farm, you know. I said, like, that's, you know, how you do it, like, you know. I said, but no, it's good. I said, you know, it'd be excellent. Anyway, the new combine came, and anyway, we were sort of talking, and John, who I work with, said to the boss on the day that it came, and he put it in the shed, and we're all stood looking at it, because that's what grown men do. They stand in a shed looking at the shiny new thing. And John said, he goes, "Coy," he said, "you've shelled out this time," because we had quite a nice, good, like, we had a sort of decent combine this time. And the boss man said, he said, "Yeah," he said, "our accountant told us what our tax bill was going to be, so we decided to go out and buy a new combine. That should lower it a bit." And John was like, "Oh, right." He said, "Yeah, fair enough." He said, "Yeah," he said, "That's the only reason why we've had one." He said, "is tax purposes," which which made me laugh. You know, it wasn't the fact that, you know, we were farming sort of over 1,000 acres with quite a poor combine. It was, no, we need to save money on tax, so therefore we've bought a new combine. It's an investment, you know. And yeah, so that did make me smile. But the funny story about his horse racing, so we'd had this particular year, we'd had quite a wet winter and quite a wet spring, and it was well into I think it was sort of getting around mid-April, and we still didn't have a lot of the ploughing that we, you know, sort of needed to get done, and what have you. And so the boss man said to me, he said, "Look," he said, "yeah, just work all the hours you want." He said, "Like, we need to get this done." So he said, "Because we need to, you know, we need to, you know, sort of get caught up and get, you know, whatever done." So I said, "Right." I said, "Okay, fair enough." So he said, "Yeah," he said, "just, you know," he said, "like, you just keep working. If you want to work Saturday, Sunday, you know, until midnight every day," he said, "like, you know, do it." He said, "like, because we've a lot to catch up." Anyway, John, who I work with, he, you know, he was like, "Nah, you know, I'll finish at 4, you know, and that's what time I finish." He didn't give a that. His attitude was, "They don't really give a monkeys. Why should I?" You know, he said, "Because I don't get the money, I don't," you know, he said, "all I get paid to do is the work." He said, and, you know, he said, like, they couldn't give a monkeys. He said, like, you know, "Why should I?" He said, "But you're a young lad." He said, like, you know, "I see why you would do the overtime." He said, "Because you're a young lad, you want to earn the money," which I did, you know, so I did work, you know, long, late hours that time of year. Anyway, this particular Saturday I was in, so he said, "I want you to go up and play a lighthouse field." And obviously called lighthouse field because at the top of the field on the bank was a lighthouse. So I said, "Right." So he said, you know, "Go play that." He said, "You'll be in there all day." I said, "Yeah," because he said it's a big old field, that one, which it was. I think it was about 102 acres, that field. and with a sort of 5-footer Dad's 12 plough and a 6620 John Deere, it was going to take a while, but I didn't mind that. I was out of the way. He weren't going to be coming up there. It weren't too far from the farm, to be fair, but he just wasn't going to be coming up there. He very, very, very seldomly ever came up to that field. I don't know why, but he never really did. But I say it wasn't too far from the farm. Now, none of us liked that field because of the countless number of um, telegraph poles and pylons in there, and so as I say, it wasn't because it just took a long time to do. It was a lot fiddly, and you was say constantly going around telegraph poles and everything else, and so it wasn't a hard field to plough. It was just time consuming, and when you wanted to get on, like I say, it sometimes was oh no, I did want factories. It was as I say, it was just sort of time consuming and what have you. So, but as I say, it wasn't it wasn't an awful uh field to do. It was just awkward. Sorry, I paused then. I can't remember how you like that. It hadn't loaded. I was going to say I thought that's how you did it. All right, we'll turn that off, and then we'll bring that to about here somewhere. Oh, there's trees there. Alright, let's get rid of these trees if we can. And yeah, so I went up to that field. Sorry, it's multitasking, and I'm not very good at it, apparently. So we went up to that field, and I set off in it, and it was going lovely. And he'd said to me in the morning, he said, "I won't see you for the rest of the day. Grand National's on today." So I said, okay, fair enough. So he said, "I was thinking about going." So I said, "Yeah." He said, "But I decided not to." He said, "Like, I'll watch it on the telly." He said, "But I'm not coming out." He said, I don't know if there was rugby, maybe the Six Nations or something. It was, I don't know. Not really into rugby, so I don't know. But there was sort of sport on telly, and that's what he was going to be doing, sort of thing. So I said, okay, fair enough. So he said, "I'll just leave you to get on with it, yeah." So I said, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I think the Grand National was about 4 o'clock, and I was I was, as I say, busy ploughing away and having a good old time, and then disaster struck. Sorry, I haven't seen this building before, so I'm just having a quick look round. Right, we will turn it all on, get it activated. Excellent. So we need grapes and water. So okay, we can enable water, so we can plug the mains into it. There we go. And then we just need grapes. That's fine. We'll have to wait for them, obviously. We've got Jack and Dave here, look, busy doing nothing because there's no grapes in there. So don't pretend you're working, guys, because I know there's nothing in it. Actually, that looked like a freaky museum sort of, where they try and do the display. Look at the size of his hand, Jesus. Anyway, yeah. So I was up in this field anyway, about sort of, I don't know, about 5 past 4, something like that. I was coming up to a big selection of the pylons, and I was coming up, and the going sort of one way. I negotiated them all perfectly. Coming back the other way, didn't quite realise sort of. Well, I don't know what happened. I wasn't concentrating clearly, but I picked the plough up, and as I swung round, I hit the telegraph pole Panicking, I then swung the other way, and because how they were set, it's hard to explain how they were kind of set up, but it was a bit like they tried to clump most of them in the field in the middle. So you had telegraph poles with telegraph wires going one way, and then the electricity pylons going the other way. But they were sort of in the middle of the field. They were congregated, and as you got across the field, they were just like individual, but one was going crossways across the field and another set was going lengthways across the field. But there was a point in the middle where they kind of all sort of not necessarily crossed, but where they ran sort of parallel to each or over each other. Like one set of wires went over, the other set of wires went under. And because panicking, I then sort of swung the tractor the other way. Well, it hit the bloody power lines, and I brought the power lines down, and I say hit the telegraph pole and the power line. So within about 30 seconds, I'd managed to take off most of the area's telephones and most of the electricity to the area. And I remember looking at, because where I was, so you had obviously the lighthouse, which was inactive, so I didn't affect that, but that because that was inactive. But you had the lighthouse, and then as you sort of looked a bit further down towards back towards the docks, you had obviously the docks, and it was just it was a bit like a film where I just watched lights going out, and I was like, oh crap, what have I done? Anyway, I was about to get out of my tractor, and I sort of sat back down again, and I thought, no. I thought, we were told if you hit power lines, don't get out. So I had a look around the tractor, and some of the power line, a couple of the power lines were on the floor, and I thought, oh, this is bad. I thought this is bad. So I thought the one thing I don't want to do is obviously step onto my metal steps. They were a little bit away from the tractor, but they were sort of smouldering and sparking a little bit and what have you. And I was like, so I rang the boss man. I rang him, and he goes, I can't talk. He says, bloody electric's gone off. He said, like, I can't. He said, like, I'm scrambling around trying to get a bloody he said, like, find a telly where I can watch the bloody Grand National. He said, I got a lot of money riding on this. And I said, yeah. I said, I might be the reason why you're not watching the Grand National. And he goes, what do you mean? And then he went, oh, he goes, have you hit the bloody power lines? And I said, well, I said, yeah, I may have given him a little tickle. And he sort of goes, what do you mean a little tickle? I said, well, I said, the power lines are on the floor. I said, and the telegraph pole is, I said, it hasn't hit the floor. I said, but I've certainly give it a good knocking. And he came down there, and I said to him, I said, I'm not really sure what to do. He said, whatever you do, don't get out your tractor. He said, do not get out your tractor. He said, just stay in your tractor. I was like, fair enough. So I sat in the tractor, and anyway, he rang me back. He goes, right. He goes, I've called the power companies. I said, right. He said, they're going to turn the remaining of the power off. So I was like, right. He said, so that you can get out. He said, but they've told me you don't get out until their van shows up. So I was like, okay. Anyway, it was another 3.5 bleeding hours before their van showed up. But their van did show up, and the man come walking across, and he goes, you can get out now. And yeah, I then got out the tractor, but I think I could have got out before. Well, I don't know, but I was too afraid to get out. I was not moving until someone told me, yeah, you can move now, because look, I'm standing here, it's perfectly fine. But it was, they goes, have you hit the telegraph power lines? And I was like, yeah, I may have given him a little tickle. Which he wasn't that happy about the way that I'd sort of phrased that, but yeah. Yeah, that was one of my biggest disasters on a farm. That was when I did that. It was not good. yeah, it cost a lot, the farm a lot of money. Right, why are we not driving? I am in the tractor, aren't I? Yeah. So why are we not driving? Why is neutral flashing? Oh, this is a new one. Can you go now? Oh. Well, we've not broken down, look, because we've got a full bar. Having said that, though, the revs haven't come up. Oh, but you know, I've never had this. Okay. I mean, I literally cannot move that. Oh, it's got diesel. The service bar is full, because I do try and keep the service bars full if I can. Why not? If I take that off, do you work then? Ah, there we go. Right, why was that not working then? Should be able to, yeah, there we go. Well, that was odd. Oop, 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 oop. I had a runaway tractor then for a second. Beehives are doing well. They're producing plenty of honey. We'll get them over to the shop. That's the reason why I wanted to move that tractor, was because I wanted to get them over to the shop. The other thing that we'll do as well is we'll get a couple of more chicken coops put down, and we'll get that done as well. Right, I don't need that one. I need that one. Yeah, so as I say, I managed to take out the power lines, which was very funny. Not. Yeah, as I say, I think it did cost the farm quite a bit of money, that did. And interestingly enough, actually, and I have no idea why, but I never got to plough that field again. In all fairness, I never really got to do very many more jobs in that field. I think the only jobs that I sort of did in that field were power harrowing, rolling, and sort of jobs like that. I think I went disc harrowing in there a couple of times as well, actually. But yeah, otherwise, I for whatever reason, I wasn't allowed to do. I wasn't allowed to go into that field. I don't know why, but yeah, it was quite funny because I used to do quite a bit of the spraying on the farm as well, and as I say, I used to do the spraying, and I didn't spray that field thereafter either. So they clearly was concerned enough not to let me in there, but again, that was right in my early farming sort of career. But I don't know, you know, and it just goes to show, doesn't it, that you only have to not concentrate for a second, and you know that happens. And I was just grateful that no one was injured, and you know everything was. I mean, the other thing as well, which was amazing to me, was there was no damage to the tractor or anything. So it was lucky all round, I think you'll find. Anyway, that's got this done. Next episode, what we'll do is we'll be looking at some land, and we'll get that done, and we'll also start to get our land turned around as well, because we've obviously got those fields out there where we've got all of our fields now because they're all harvested. So we'll get them turned around as well, and then we can I don't know why, actually. I am going to show you. I was hoping I wouldn't, but that winery puts that down just there. I have no idea why. I have no idea why or what that is, but I noticed that last time when I tried it, just to make sure that there was no errors in it, which there are. Apart from that, there aren't. But that is quite funny. But yeah, say next time we'll get some land, we'll sort that out, and then we'll sort our own land out. I don't think there's too much in the way of machinery. I mean, I wouldn't mind that tractor maybe, but you know, or that sprayer. The sprayer would be quite a nice addition as well, because it'd be slightly bigger than the one we've got, and also that as well, because if we're gonna go into animals, you know, and get you know, sort of milk and other stuff like that, then that would be quite nice as well. But as I say, that'll all be for another episode. So as I say, let me know in the comments whether you do want me to carry on. I've had a few messages from a few different people saying that they do want this series to carry on, which is surprising and also quite pleasing, because I did like it, but I did kind of felt like I'd let everyone down, you know, through leaving it on easy. So the fact that you know, that everyone else is kind of saying, nah, it's okay, you know, mistakes happen, accidents happen, don't worry about it, you know, just carry on. You know, it'd be interesting to see, you know, how big this farm could get. So that's fantastic. As I say, off camera, what I'll do is, as well, I'll get all of the pallets all sold and cleared up. And the other thing as well is that we need to do is we need to think about changing this as well, because this is, I think we're outgrowing this quite rapidly. As I say, we've got quite a few wares in here now. You know, we've got our carrots. Don't know what that is. Kimchi, maybe? I don't know. Is that spinach? Didn't have no spinach, did we? Got our tomatoes, spring onions, parsnips. They look like grapes, but I haven't harvested grapes. Actually, because, oh no, not every bowl is full. Oh no, this must just be a standard texture thingy, because we definitely haven't harvested no potatoes or rice for that matter. Yeah, so this is just obviously filled like this all the time. I was going to say, it was like, what? Did I sleep through me harvesting carrots and potatoes and spinach and all of the other good things? You know, did I sleep through that, or, you know, what happened? But anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Really enjoyed having your company. And if you haven't done already, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Really does help the channel. Free to do so. Get notified every day of when I drop a video, which is every day at 3 PM. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.